Hi, welcome to another exciting episode of the AI People, where thinkers and builders share stories about how they are humanizing AI. Today we have Sharoon, a good friend of mine. He's a product manager at Microsoft. He's here to share his experiences working on AI initiatives. Sharoon, why don't you kick us off by introducing yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Vivek. First of all, before I introduce myself, I just want to say a big thank you to what you've done with this channel and the influence you're having on AI. I think I've been a big fan, so thank you for helping out and contributing to everyone else as well. Hey everyone, I'm Sharoon. I'm a product manager at Microsoft. I currently work on building AI products specifically. Before this, I was a software engineer at Microsoft itself. I also got my MBA from Chicago Booth, which is where I met Vivek, and before that, I got my undergrad from Purdue, where I studied computer science. Yeah, super excited to chat with you.
Great. Thank you, Sharon, for taking the time to be part of the talk show. So why don't we start things at a high level? Everyone sees the value in AI, but would like to hear your perspective, since you are seeing it pretty closely at a company that is at the vanguard of AI innovation. So what tangible benefits do you see AI bringing to the economy at this point in time, and what are some of the risks that a technology like AI carries as we are commercializing AI, and what specific pockets of the economy that you see benefiting from AI to a greater extent compared to the other parts of the economy?
Yeah, for sure. It's a great question. I feel like AI can be so scary, but also so powerful, I guess, which is why it is scary, right? But there's so much potential to drive economic impact. I think, like right now, if you look at the tech spend of the GDP, it's something like 4 or 5 or maybe 6% or something like that, right? And I'm thinking, well, how can AI disrupt industries such that the tech spend increases with the help of AI to maybe like 10%? What does that mean? Right? And how can AI innovations help disrupt industries like healthcare? And by disruption, I mean driving innovations, driving new breakthroughs, right? We've already seen some of the innovation that it has in healthcare already, right? And similarly, maybe can it have a breakthrough in manufacturing, right? And then once we expand that tech spend as percentage of GDP, then I'm thinking, is the pie expanding completely as well? And why that is important is because think of I think the Industrial Revolution. That's when the UK government, the tech spend was as a percentage of GDP was like 10%, right? And not tech spend. I'm sorry, the spend on railroads during the Industrial Revolution was 10%. And while the railroad spend was just 10%, but it had an impact on the entire economy, from people contributing to it indirectly or directly, or people benefiting from it directly or indirectly. So I think AI will follow a similar wave. I think we are just starting. We're just at the beginning of the revolution. So I'm super excited for that.
Got it. So a lot of technology and business leaders keep saying that AI is the biggest invention since steam engine or internet, for that matter. Do you believe that AI is that big of a massive shift, especially generative AI, given its set of capabilities with respect to reasoning, language understanding, all that? So what is your point of view?
Yeah, I think as I was saying earlier as well, right? Like companies need to be very, very careful right now. It's almost like what I call an extinction moment, right? Like many companies will survive, many companies will not survive. And when you think of extinction moments, like when a meteor hits our planet, right? It's not the fastest that survives, it's not the largest that survives. The ones that survive are the ones that adapt the best, which is why companies need to adapt to this AI wave right now. And I think that's critical right now. And one thing I've seen, I think someone has said this earlier as well, is that AI is not going to automate companies, but companies that are leveraging AI will automate away or beat companies that are not using it. So I think that's what companies need to evaluate and take a very core hard look at each and every feature in your product or your entire product, your entire industry. Is AI going to impact it? is AI going to automate a lot of these things? For example, like if you are running a service that just summarizes something, right? AI is just going to completely automate that away, right? And we're already seeing that. And some specific examples are like in the service industry, right? Like chatbots, right? And there was this earlier wave of, like we had like mild AI where before even AI, there was like this thing where you would say that, hey, dial 1 for this, dial 2 for this, dial 3 for this, right? When you're on a customer call. That was just like if else. Then they started to add some sentiments in it, or speech recognition, like, hey, I have a question about buying this product. So then they would try to map it. Okay, you're looking for sales, so I'll route you to somewhere else, right? But now with AI, you don't have to do any of that, right? AI will be able to infer what you're saying. You don't have to like write this logic or anything like that. So I think AI is super powerful, and I think companies definitely need to adapt to this change. Yeah.
Got it. That makes sense. So the use cases are becoming clear. A lot of industries are embracing AI. So what specific industries do you think have a leg up or further ahead of the game, and are going to be the torchbearers of AI adoption?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, in my opinion, I think companies that are tech forward or industries that are tech forward will definitely see the most advantage, because I think even in a specific industry, there's companies that are doing tech forward things and companies that are not. If you look at agriculture, for example, in agriculture there are companies that are very, very tech forward. They will be the ones that will be the torchbearers in the agriculture industry versus the ones that are not. Similarly, like tech as a whole is tech forward, right? So tech will be another industry that will be the torchbearer. For example, you can see with GitHub Copilot now, right? Like GitHub is helping so many software engineers write code faster, right? So you can see that how engineers are being more productive already. So that's some industries. I do think that some industries will have some issues adopting AI in the beginning, specifically industries that are more regulated. You could think of like legal, for example, where there's a lot more regulation, there's like data privacy concerns. But I think they will come on board slowly and eventually as well. This is very similar to like the cloud wave that was happening earlier, right? Where everyone was like, oh, things are going on the cloud. Like, is it not my data? What happens if someone else accesses it? So they have similar concerns with AI, but I think people are starting to get around it. I think one key point is that if you look at 10 years ago, companies were like so scared of they wouldn't even touch AI. They'd be like, I don't want to do this at all. But now just the fact that they're starting to use it so much more, right? They're open to it. They themselves are starting conversations, right? It's just amazing to see the impact and the opportunity in front of us.
Got it.
Yeah.
So it's great to see the demand coming from the industries and serving as a catalyst for the AI ecosystem. And I know Microsoft is one of the key players in the ecosystem, working closely with some of the startups and as well as companies that are bringing these capabilities to the end customers. So can you paint a picture of the AI ecosystem the way you see it, and how or what kind of role Microsoft plays in this ecosystem?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think Satya talks about this a lot, about Microsoft's role in the entire ecosystem, in the entire AI ecosystem. I feel like it's in the fullness of the stack. So think of like at the bottom of the stack, it's like Microsoft wants to have the best AI infrastructure. So that's like, having VMs that can run AI models. That'd be like the bottom most layer. So having the infrastructure for AI, right? And then partnering with the right companies like NVIDIA or AMD, or developing our own chips, right? And then there's the layer that sits on top of it, which is like the data layer, right? Now Microsoft is competing in that as well. So how do you have the best tools for that help you with retrieval augmented generation, for example, right? So that's the data layer. And then on top of that is like the end user layer almost, right? Think of like GitHub Copilot, where it's trying to make software engineers more efficient. Now we just recently announced Copilot for sales, Copilot for service, Copilot for finance. So all these functional Copilots, depending on your role, right? So I feel like, and then Copilot within Teams, for example, that helps you summarize your day-to-day things, or Copilot within Word. So I feel like it's in the fullness of the stack. So Microsoft will have a role to play in each of those, which is just amazing as a platform company, because you might be partnering with some companies at a certain layer, but competing with the same companies at a different layer. So I think Microsoft has a huge role to play, and I'm super pumped for what the future holds for Microsoft as well.
Got it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like having a footprint across the technology stack,
Yeah.
and in addition to build, partnering with other companies as well to ensure you're able to transmit the innovation, diffuse the innovation to the end customers. I'm curious to learn more about the team that you are part of within Microsoft, and the kind of AI initiatives that you're leading in the organization. And having gone through this journey, like you started as a software engineer at Microsoft, and then you moved into product management. So you come with a rich set of technical skills, and you did your MBA program at Chicago Booth. So you were able to layer, business skills, soft skills on top of that. And I believe Microsoft is also a great environment to learn, pick up some of the new skill sets. So what are some of the what kind of recommendations would you give to someone who is looking at product management roles, especially coming with a tech background, or coming straight out of school, if they are like scouting for such opportunities? I know I asked you a lot of questions, but to sum it up, like what do you do at Microsoft? What's motivating you, and what advice would you give to people interested in such roles?
Yeah, for sure. I think at Microsoft, there's so much investment, so much excitement with AI, and I'm just really, really loving it. The products that I'm working on are we're trying to build AI first products as well. So that's super exciting. What advice I would give to people? I think specifically when you're building AI products, AI is just, in my opinion, it's just a technology to help do the job. So for people who are building products, specifically like product managers, what I would recommend would be make sure you understand what the job is that the user is trying to achieve, right? Don't be technology first, be problem first, right? An example of this is if you look at photos of people traveling in public transportation, right? 50 years ago, they'd all be on their newspaper, right? Now, if you look at the same photo, they'd be on their phone. So you can see that the technology changes. Like they were using a newspaper, now they're using a phone. In the future, they might be using something else.
The same job.
Yeah, but the core job is
Yeah.
just the same. That when I'm using public transportation, I'm getting bored, right? So that is the core job that the technology is solving, and AI is just a way to solve that problem. So I think when you're building the product, just make sure that you understand that where AI needs to get plugged in. And not be oh, I need to just slap AI on top of everything, which is something that we have to be very, very careful of. And that's something I've seen as well. Many companies do, or many product managers come up with things oh, I will just add a little chatbot that allows you to summarize this thing. Sure, but but will that really help the person do the job?
Yeah.
An example of this is, I think this is before the LLM wave was, there was this hype about, oh, I can ask the weather. I can say something oh, what is the weather today? And AI will understand what I'm trying to say and give me the weather. I'm that's great, but it's far quicker for me to just click the weather app or type weather.com, right? So it's not helping the customer in any way, or the end user in any way. So I think that is something you have to be careful of. So that'd be my advice. And I think one more thing I'd just like to add to that is, as you're thinking of automating these jobs, right? Think of AI can do smaller tasks really well, summarize this email for me or draft a response. Take it one level above. Try to see how AI can solve a set of tasks. Can you feed an outcome to AI? Can you say something I need to improve my sales by $1 million this year? And then see what AI can not only come up with, but actually do those things on your behalf. That is where AI will see more value, because right now I think everyone is stuck on saying that, oh, it's just a chat thing. And even when you talk to customers, they'll say, oh, can you just add a chatbot? AI is just so much more than that. And I think we're starting to see that now. And as more AI first products come into the picture, I think it will become clearer. And AI first is also a very interesting term, because think of the mobile revolution. and we all were a part of mobile revolution, right? And we saw that there were some things people just moved to the mobile device, like YouTube, amazing product of a desktop, and they just moved it to the mobile, worked great, but it's not mobile first. You know what is mobile first? TikTok.
Yep.
TikTok is mobile first. Similarly, we will have more AI first products instead of just porting current existing things into or slapping AI on top of it. But we'll start to see more and more AI first products. And I think as builders, we have to think in that direction, would be my recommendation. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, those are really good frameworks and heuristics to think about.
Yeah.
Like new products or even new features.
Yeah.
Like you said, incorporating AI for the sake of doing it is not gonna translate into tangible business value. At least it's not gonna create meaningful ROI, because some of these technologies are really expensive as well.
Yeah.
Like think about the inferencing costs.
Yeah.
So as product managers, I think it's very important for them to steward the team in a direction that they are thinking about the end users, what do they get to benefit, and how
Yeah.
to translate that into business requirements and then into technical requirements. So
Yeah, for sure.
I really see how you are bringing in both perspectives given your software engineering background and business background. So really good insights, and thank you, Sharoon, for being with us today, and it was a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Vivek, for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah.